Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining our special live stream tonight to talk about all about bringing out the best in every diagnostic platform, Snap-on diagnostic platform. We're here tonight to talk about the 2022 spring software release that's just been released. So my name, though, before we get too far, my name is Jason Gabrinas. I'm one of Snap-on's national diagnostic technical trainers. Been in the training department the last 9 years or so, traveling around North America, helping techs and shop owners get the most out of their diagnostic equipment. Before I did that, it was a couple years as a diagnostic sales rep with Snap-on. So I had about 30 different Snap-on franchisees I worked with, as well as the shops that they serviced in order to help everyone get the most out of their diagnostic needs. And before that, it was 8 years at Subaru. So over time, working at the dealership just became the default diagnostic guy in the shop, I guess. So I had all the drivability problems, the intermittent problems, the weird wiring problems. And that's really where I cut my diagnostic teeth, was trying to figure out all those weird head scratcher type cars that would come into my bay. Then before that, a bunch of other miscellaneous wrenching jobs. Been a little over 25 years under hood experience for me. So also, as we're talking tonight, if you have any questions, if you're joining us on Zoom, if you look at the top or the bottom of your screen, wherever your Zoom controls are, you should see a little button that says Q&A. Click on that. It'll open a new window. You can type in your question, hit submit, and I'll get to those at the end of the session. If you're watching along on YouTube as well, you can always use the live chat function wherever it happens to be on your particular device. Just type in a question into the chat, and I'll get to those a little bit later as well. So let's dive into the software. First, we're going to start high level with the numbers. So we're going to talk about how has this release grown since the last release, which was back in October. Well, as we can see, we got it lined out: domestic, European, Asian, and motorcycle. So system growth, 5, 11, 4, and 8%. PID growth, so that's data coverage. These are the amount of data PIDs that you have additional over and above what you had before. So it's 12% more than you had before, 6% more on the European, 6% on the Asian, 13% more on the motorcycle. And then we can see the numbers down here on the bottom. And that's just the last 6 months. Now, if you look at some of the numbers, you might say, well, 2%, 5%, okay, that's great. But if you think overall, how many systems are covered on these vehicles nowadays? There can be over 100 systems on some cars. So 5% growth in something that's probably in the tens of thousands range, that's a pretty good jump just from the last 6 months. And then if we go back even further over the last 2 years, since 2020, we can see huge growth across the board. And as you can see, definitely the bulk of the growth has been in European. I know we've been working really hard getting that European software filled in. So 43% system growth in the last 2 years, 26% PID growth, and 23% functional test growth, as well as we can see the motorcycle growth and the Asian growth and the domestic growth in there as well. So let's talk about code scan and clear 2022 model year vehicles. That brings us up to pretty much current. There may be a 2023 out there at the moment, but I don't know. We're pretty early on in the 2022. I'm not sure if we got any 2023s on the road, but why would you need 2022 model year code scan and clear anyways? Well, think about if you're a body shop. You could have a car with 50 miles on it getting a wreck or something on a road test or a test drive, or brand new car customer just purchased. Rental cars are almost always brand new or at least a year behind. What if you're a shop that sublets for either of those? So not every body shop uses a scan tool still. So I might have a shop that I sublet for, or a rental car place that you might sublet for. Glass companies, you can have a brand new car off the back of the truck that has a code in it that we would need to scan. So glass companies, dealerships too, trade-ins, low mileage trade-ins, fairly recent New Year trade-ins. Plus, there are a lot of dealership techs that like to use our tools as a good triage tool or as a second backup to their factory tool. And some just like using it better because it's faster. So definitely good to have that. And I know we were asked for that a lot over the years. So in the last couple of years, we've been providing that. I think that's pretty cool. On 31 different manufacturers, we have current model year scan and clear. And then as of this update, the spring 2022 update, we're in 2022, right? So you would see a 22.2 on the screen on your home screen, and that's what that means. The second quarter of 2022 is when it's released. With this release, all of the vehicles in the tool are updated to at least 2022 model year. So now you have your coverage for your codes, your data, your functional tests, special functions, any of that. 18 additional manufacturers from last time, and now that brings us up fully to all full coverage at 2021 model years. Also, 8 motorcycle manufacturers, 8 of the 9 motorcycle manufacturers that we cover are going to be also updated to 2021. And now, why do I mention that? Why do I mention that motorcycle manufacturers are brought up? I thought that was only on the Solus Legend and the P1000. Well, now, little spoiler alert from a little bit later, we're going to talk about it. But motorcycle coverage has now been added to all Fast Track intelligent diagnostic tools as well. So your Triton, your Apollo, your Zeus, all of those tools are also going to have motorcycle coverage as well. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Now let's get into a little bit more specific, and then we'll get very specific when we get live on the tool in a little bit. But as far as domestic additions, for GM, freeze frame data. Freeze frame data is always very important. When I have a code, I want to see that snapshot, what was happening at the time that that code set. So we have integrated freeze frame data for the 3-liter and the 6.2-liter engines. Looks like on a lot of GM trucks. We got Silverados, Yukons, Escalades, Suburbans. All right, so any of the fairly new model years too, like the last 3 years. Also, Ford PMI, so programmable module initialization. This is required for a lot of different modules, replacing things on Fords nowadays. So it's going to cover 30 different modules across the vehicle. As of this update, it is only for 2021 model year F-Series trucks, but it will be added to in the future. That's just our starting point, and then we'll backfill and fill around with other models and vehicles that have that capability as well. So I'm excited about that one because that is a factory level deal right there. And I'm going to show you what that looks like live on the tool in a little while. More domestic, Lincoln Continental added 5 more body and drivetrain systems. That fills out the Continental 2017 when it was new up to current on that. And then EVAP service bay test for 2020 Cadillacs as well added in there. So if you couldn't do it before, go look, you can do it now. As far as Asian, Toyota, 2021 Toyota Sienna hybrid vehicle, codes, data, and special functions for the power sliding doors. We know those body controls and the motors and such inside there. You need to have control and codes on those. So we just added that. Lexus for the convertible top, the roof ECU. Subaru, this one's pretty big. So ADAS coverage, always adding to that ADAS coverage that we have. Codes, data, relearns, and recalibrations for the rear vehicle detection and back and side radar. So that is the radar pods, the radar modules that are in the back bumper, kind of on the corners. And now you're able to recalibrate, relearn those, and as well as read codes and diagnostic data and such. Now, you would require, in this case, that does require a separate target, which is available. But as far as the software coverage, you're covered. How about European vehicles? BMW 7 Series, 2000 to 2008. A lot of folks say, well, why get the update if I'm not working on brand new cars, right? Well, this is back, 22 years ago. We can go back that far for a 7 Series damper control system, updated with codes, data, and special functions. So if I have electronic suspension on this car, I can now access that. 2008 to 15 F chassis, rain and light sensor special functions. And then Mercedes CLK 2002 to 2009, codes, data, and special functions for electronic ignition switch and the seat and door system. Now, these are just highlights. These are barely scratching the surface as we saw the numbers at the beginning. Huge amount of information in this update, but these are just some of the highlights. Also, this one's interesting. I know this is probably going to be big for my friends in Canada with this. So if you ever have imported European vehicles come into your shop, so Euro market vehicles come into your shop, you now have coverage for that on Audi, BMW, Mini, and Volkswagen Euro market vehicles over in North America. I'll show you a little bit more about what that looks like as well when we go live on the tool in a little bit. Motorcycle content, as I said, that had that little teaser at the beginning there. Motorcycle content is now available on all Fast Track intelligent diagnostic tools. So you'll have access to all 9 motorcycle makes that we cover, and that'll help you with your motorcycle maintenance tasks, special functions like brake bleeds, service lights, compression tests, fuel tank drain, all of those types of things that you would expect to have on a car. Motorcycles have an awful lot of coverage as well, like programming key fobs for Harleys. I know you do that. So we've been asked for it for a while. Since we came out with motorcycle on the P1000, they said, hey, well, why can't my Zeus do that? Well, now with this update, your Zeus can do that. So that's a beautiful thing. Also, in order to make this work, since motorcycles as of yet, don't really have just one connector that they use. They have multiple connectors. It's kind of like if you think back to OBD1 for automotive, it's the same world with motorcycles right now. Every manufacturer is a little bit different. So these are the list of the adapters that are available for the different bikes for the different software. So we have BMW, Harley, Indian, Ducati, Suzuki, Honda, Kawasaki, and Yamaha in there as well. So a lot of different adapters, and just choose whichever one you might need for whatever bike you might need, and we can just go from there. Now, I did say as of yet, the motorcycle industry doesn't have a unified connector, but they will be very soon. So new with 2022, with this update, this is now available as well. So this is for Harley Davidson 2020 and newer, Ducati 2020 and newer, and Kawasaki 2021 and newer. All makes are going to go this way and have this connector on there by 2024. So if you work on multiple makes and they're newer bikes and you want to get this adapter, this is kind of a nice one-stop shop. It's kind of like when they went to OBD2 for automotive, they're doing this for motorcycles now as well. Everybody has a unitized connector that will be going forward, 2024 model year and forward. That will be your one connector for those bikes. So I think that's a wonderful change in the industry. Speaking of changes in the industry, there's been an awful lot of security changes as far as manufacturers are concerned, right? I know we know about Chrysler. There's a couple other manufacturers that are out there and a couple more on the horizon. I would imagine most manufacturers are going to go to some sort of secured system here within the next few years. But this part we're going to tell you about, it's more of a renaming than anything. Functionally, it's going to work the same as you would be used to for Chrysler. But instead of calling it Snap-on Secure Gateway, we're now calling it Snap-on Security Link. So that kind of helps us umbrella and cover the other manufacturers that would be under this as well. So it gives you access to systems that the manufacturers have protected for security reasons. So it's mainly a name change. So as we know, vehicle manufacturers are implementing security features to prevent unauthorized intrusions into their systems, like the FCA Secured Gateway that we've been aware of since 2018. Security Link will be introduced with the spring 2022 software release. So it's going to be a naming thing. You're going to see it on the screens and on the tool and things. The latest software release will be required in order to be compliant with manufacturers' ever-changing security processes. So this is one small change. So you got to make sure you're on their latest software. Now, why is that? If the manufacturer decides they need to make a change somewhere halfway through the year, and they say, okay, we're going to change our protocol. If you don't have the latest software update in there, you're not going to have that latest protocol in there, so you won't be able to talk to those vehicles. So you want to make sure that you always have the latest software release. Otherwise, it will time out, much like Intelligent Diagnostics or SureTrack or access to quick lookups and all that. So it will be a gateway to access secured systems as allowed by manufacturers. And every manufacturer, as we're finding out, is going to be a little bit different. They may also require a subscription to their system to allow the authentication to complete, much like Chrysler does now or FCA does now. Manufacturers that do not require this type of subscription will be done in the background seamlessly. You probably won't even notice that it happened. In that case, Snap-on will handle all the required development on the back end to allow customers access to these secured systems. So that means right now there's only one manufacturer. There's really only two manufacturers right now that are doing this. FCA, as we know, and then the other one is Ford. Now, in Ford's case, it is seamless in the background. 2018 and newer Ford vehicles, some of those functions are behind security, but as we said, we handle all the required development in the background. You wouldn't even know, except there's one screen that comes up, and I'm going to try and point it out to you a little bit later. It flashes so quick you kind of miss it, but I'll try and point it out later. There is a screen that says establishing security link connection for Ford. So this also brings me to, you need to have Wi-Fi on in order for these to work as well. So I know a lot of folks have been getting on board with putting their tool on Wi-Fi, but if you don't have it on Wi-Fi, the tool can't contact the manufacturer to unlock the vehicle. So you also have to have it on Wi-Fi, and it has to be on current software in order for the access to occur. So if your scan tool is on subscription or a data plan and your access expires, then all you need to do is install whatever latest update that you haven't installed yet. So if you're on a subscription, you're as long as the subscription is current, you would be able to just install it. And same thing with a data plan that hasn't gone out of date. Just install the latest update and you'll be back up and running. If you have a single title in your tool, so that'd be a single software update that you would buy from your Snap-on representative. If that happens, you need to either get the latest update in that case, or just put your tool on subscription, and then you would be able to get the latest update then. Some manufacturers may also require a subscription to their system to allow the authentication to complete. For example, we've seen this already with auto auth for FCA vehicles, and we're not really sure what other manufacturers are going to do. So we want to just kind of leave this under an umbrella of, okay, it's security functions. Security Link is not for access to security systems requiring an LSID. So for example, immobilize your keys. It's not that kind of security. It's firewall security for the vehicles is what we're talking about. And remember, if I want to stay up to date all the time, if I subscribe my tool, if I'm on software subscription, always the best option is the least expensive option, and it always keeps you up to date. Makes it nice and easy, and you don't have to worry about it. Just kind of set it and forget it. So let's just take a look at what do I lose if I do go out of date. So on a intelligent diagnostic tool, so a Zeus, a Triton, or Apollo, TSBs, Fast Track Intelligent Diagnostics, Service Resets, SureTrack, Snap-on Cloud Upload Capability, Oil Specs, Resets, Tire and Wheel Service, Security Link, all of that is functional as long as you have an active subscription or a data plan on those tools. If you have no subscription or your data plan expires, you lose all that access, and the big red bars come up and says expired and all that comes up on the tools. If you were to purchase just a single software title for that tool, which is possible but not recommended, you get a few things, but you miss out on intelligent diagnostics and the service resets and relearns, and you'll still get that message on the tool. Now, if you have a non-intelligent diagnostics tool, like a Verisimodus or a Solus or an Ethos, as long as you have your active current software, you're good. Once it expires, you lose all of this. You lose your access to your TSBs on your Veris, service resets and relearn, SureTrack, etc. So one note on Snap-on Cloud, though, you only lose upload access. You can still access your files that you have uploaded previously. You just lose access to the upload there. So make sure you don't let your tool go dark. Make sure you keep it up to date. This is the moral of that story. And I know there's a ton of people out there that do have a subscription on their tool, so they really don't have to worry about it. All right, let's talk about some on-screen tool enhancements. So we got live battery voltage reading. This has already been introduced on the Zeus and on the Triton D10 and the Apollo D9. Now available on D8 tools as well. So Apollo and Triton D8, that's getting updated. So you'll have that live voltage up there. Now, why is that important to have that live voltage? Because as long as I have good voltage, I know I should be able to communicate with the vehicle that way. Previous vehicles and data on D9 and D10. The functionality update. So in the previous vehicles and data screen, when you log the mileage and the license plate, it's now saved to the tool. It wasn't saved to the tool before, so now it is, and you can pull it up. You can see we got an odometer there and the license plate. Clear view flag tracker. This one's a pretty cool enhancement to data stream on the Zeus, and I'm going to go very well into detail on what this does and how it works and what it looks like. It's been updated. It helps you speed up root cause diagnosis. It's got a flag drop function, a simplified navigation, and a new graph view format. So this one's pretty cool too. I'm going to go in depth on that when we go live on the tool as well. Some new menus as well. So if you know about the component test meter classes, the training and classes built in the component test meter, they've now been duplicated. They haven't been moved, but they've been duplicated to the training and support icon on the tool as well. So that'd be on the Triton D10. So if you go into training and support, the first thing right there is going to be classes. So you will have that available in both ways. So some folks couldn't find it one way, so we're just going to make it available in multiple ways. So that's available. If you have a tool that is updatable through ShopStream Connect, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but that'd pretty much be anything not D8, D9, or Veris or Zeus. All the other tools are updatable through ShopStream Connect. So when you can go in and there's a QR code that will come up. You scan that and it will drop you on the page in order to learn more about ShopStream Connect and be able to download it as well. Also, get connected on the screen. You may have seen this before because I think we've had this on a few tools already. But if you do not have your tool hooked up to Wi-Fi when you turn it on, it'll give you this little screen that says, hey, turn your Wi-Fi on. Now, why do we need the Wi-Fi on? If we think about what I just talked about a few slides ago with security link, any of those secured functions, the tool has to be able to talk to the manufacturer. And if the Wi-Fi is not on, that's not going to work. So you wouldn't be able to scan those cars. So we need to have Wi-Fi on for more than just being able to upload pre and post scans and things. We need Wi-Fi for a lot more than you think nowadays. All right, so what if I do need an upgrade, or I'm ready for an upgrade and I have an upgrade waiting for me? How do I go about doing this? So a couple different ways depending on the tool. If I got a Zeus or a Veris Edge, either of our Windows tools, you're going to go down to the bottom left, you're going to find the icon that says desktop. And then over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see a white box with a black box inside of it. Oftentimes, it'll just pop up when it's ready, and you can just click on it and go. Otherwise, to access it manually, you'll go here. And then it says check for updates on the top. You click that. And then it'll say it's checking for updates. And if it finds one, it'll download it for you. Follow the prompts, and it'll install the software. If I have a D9 or a D10, these tools are also available to update over the internet. So we go to Tools. Once it's hooked to the internet, you often will find a icon up on the top as well, a little arrow pointing down when it's downloading. But to manually check, you can go to Software Updates on the menu, and then it'll tell you there's an update available. So we need to make sure the device is near Wi-Fi because we want to have a good, strong Wi-Fi signal. We want to connect the power adapter to the device as well, so you can see it's charging right there. And then leave the device undisturbed until the update is complete. So it may take several hours. In my experience, it's usually been under an hour. If you click download install, it'll download. And then it'll when it's complete, it'll say, do you want to install it now or install it later? And if we install now, we're going to check off our license agreement, hit agree. And then it'll go through the install and it'll restart and you'll be good to go. Now, if I have any of the other tools for an update, so Apollo D8, Triton D8, Solus, Modus Ethos P1000, any of those will tell you when you need an update. So it says you're a little out of date, you might be available, hit OK. And then in this case, we'll hook up the tool with the USB cord to my PC that is running ShopStream Connect. Go into Tools, go into Connect to PC right here on the top. That'll connect you to the computer. When that happens, you go over to the computer and ShopStream Connect should start. If it doesn't, you can just manually click on it. And then it's going to say, it's going to check for updates automatically. So it'll say, well, there's an update available for this thing. So you can continue. And then when it's done, it'll give you the ULEV, the license agreement. And then it'll download the update. Now, the important thing to note on this one is you can disconnect it then. Once it starts downloading, you can disconnect, go about your day and do whatever you need to do. It'll alert you when it's done and it'll tell you to hook it back up. So when it's ready to program, you hit continue, and then it'll go through the walkthrough and the programming. And then this black screen comes up on the tool, and then you hit check mark to restart it. You restart it one more time, and then you're good to go. These are the easiest ways to update because you can do it yourself. You don't have to wait for your Snap-on representative. If you want to, you can still go to your Snap-on representative and take the time to have them do it as well. Either way it works. It's just a lot easier for everybody if we do it ourselves because we can do it right away. I want it now, right? It's a lot of the instant gratification nowadays. So I want my update now, man. So, all right, go ahead and check it and download it. We can do that automatically. All right, now comes the fun part. So we're going to do our little walkthrough here. Now, first one I got two Zeuses. Zeus, maybe. I don't know what's the plural of Zeus. I guess Zeuses. So I got 21.4 on this one. So this would be the last update from the fall. So we're going to take a look at a couple different things. First couple are quick. So we'll go in a scanner, and I want to look at Volkswagen because I want to look at these European vehicles. You'll see under Volkswagen on the old software, I have vehicle selection or expert mode. That's my two choices. If I go over to my other Zeus on 22.2 and go to Volkswagen, right there, US vehicles, European vehicles, or expert mode. Let me switch over again. So if I go into my old Zeus, vehicle selection, and let's pick like a 2018, and then we'll see what we got for brands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brands on a 2018. If I go back to here and I go to my European vehicles, because those would just be US vehicles. 2018. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Different makes and or different models, and I have heard of barely any of these. So the Amarok, the Arteon, the Transporter, I've heard of Sirocco, but Sharon, all of these different models that you might not be able to find with the regular North American software. You can now find it inside on the current 22.2 update, the spring update on your tool. All right, next thing, we'll go into scanner, and this button isn't even available until now. So right over here, we got under M, right next to Mitsubishi and Nissan, we got motorcycle. So if I go into motorcycle, you see we got BMW, Yamaha, Ducati, Harley, Honda, Indian, Kawasaki, Suzuki, and Victory in there. So you can go through and pick a different vehicle, whatever bike you want to hook up to. Let's say this Ducati right here. And I'll pick like a 15 Monster with the big engine. It's an L2 engine, which is kind of interesting. You'll see we got engine, anti-lock brakes, black box, instrument panel, service interval reset. We'll go into engine real quick. And it tells you what to hook up. So you have the correct adapter. As we said, we need those correct adapters for motorcycles. So DA6 adapter and the DUC1 adapter. And it's a 4-pin black connector under the seat. And continue. And we'll see what we can see. So it's just on a simulator. So I don't know how much, but we'll be able to see a little. All right. So codes, data, functional tests. On functional tests, under special functions, we have reset self-adaptives, idle controllers, VIN writing, power request parameters, and so on. Also under actuator tests, we have a couple different things here. So compression tests, it's got a built-in compression test for the 2 cylinders it has. Turn the fuel pump on and off. Remember how I said it was an L2? So we got a horizontal coil and a horizontal injector, then a vertical coil and a vertical injector. So that's just kind of different and interesting. So a lot of information in here, depending on what kind of bike you work on, if you work on bikes at all. But that's just, it gives you an example of something you would not see until you updated your tool with any of the intelligent diagnostic tools on 22.2. All right, next thing. Let's see. This one. All right. Okay, so let's look at data. I'm going to pull in here. And I'm going to pull up my demonstration vehicle just because it's easy. And Tahoe. This is all the way it used to look. All right, so we'll go in here. We'll do a code scan first. That makes it easy. Okay, we'll hit diagnose. It's got a different code in there, but that's okay. We'll see what we get. And we don't get that. That's my fault. That's my fault for not practicing. We're gonna fix this right now. Hold on one second. Stand by. Stand by. We're gonna fix this. I had a different simulator on. Hold on. There we go. This will work. While we're doing that, let's get the other one ID'd in the demo vehicle. I hadn't used that one in a while. So. Pull up my Tahoe. See, this is a live class. I don't pre-tape this one. Get the pre-scan going on that one, and we'll get this one ID'd in here. Maybe the last 4 vehicles. All right, so we'll do a code scan on this. Pre-scan. And it should bring me my right codes this time. All right, there we go. So P0300 code. We'll go to diagnose, go into fast track intelligent diagnostics. Now this is the clear view flag finder. So what this does, I'm going to show you what we used to do, and then I'm going to show you how it's different. So it works on any data in the tool. It's not just in intelligent diagnostics. Any data that you read on a Zeus, this is going to happen. So if I go into smart data in this example, just so we're keeping it even on both sides. I'm going to come in here, and smart data, of course, filters the list down and sets these flags automatically. Now we see a couple of these flags went red. And then I have this it saves it for me automatically, right? So I have a bunch of flags here. I got a couple red ones. If I open up the graphs, I can see there's a red line that marks where my flag tripped. Okay, so when it trips a flag, that means it went outside of known good and bad parameters. Known good min-max parameters. So right there, there's a bad one. And then if I open this one here, I see there's a gray line across on there. So that's how it's worked for a while, like the last 4 years. If I go to my other tool, which is minimized, right there we go. I have my P0300 code. I go into diagnose. We're going to look pretty much the same still. Give it a try. Go into smart data. This one might be a little loud. You might want to cover your speaker. I don't think the sound's off on this one. We'll find out. That wasn't that bad. All right, so you see I got some flags, just like before. I got the blue flags and I got the red flags. Now there's a flag on the bottom. And you'll also notice this bottom buffer looks a little different. So what this does is based on this timeline, it is going to set that flag wherever it was on that timeline. It also works with manual PID triggers. So if I go over here, I think I got this engine load here, right? So what's that? Max on that? 18 and 29. All right. So if I go in here and I set up a manual trigger, 17 and 28. There we go. Hit save. The other thing that it does is it automatically turns on the trigger function, which it didn't do before either. So I see I got a flag right there. It's blue. Once it sets past where it triggers, you're going to see another flag drop down here, and that flag will turn. It's going to take a sec. I caught it at a weird spot. All right, there we go. So it tripped the trigger. Now you see how it turned red, and you see how I have a flag down here now. So this tells me I had a flag trip over here, and I had a flag trip over there. Now, if I'm going on a road test, that'll help me out because I can say, okay, well, here's where it tripped there. There's where it tripped there. I can just go back to that spot. Now, another cool thing that happens, watch this. When I click that first flag, watch what happens to the screen. I click on the first flag, it freezes the recording, and then opens the pertinent graphs that flagged at that time. Shows me the red line where they triggered. It also shows me this dashed red line, which is where this one triggered. Now, if I wanted to go see this one, where this one flag, I can click on that flag on the timeline. And it brings me over there and opens that one. Now, it doesn't close the other ones because I already had them open, but it opens this one new. So now I can go over here and I can see, okay, there's the dashed line where the other one's triggered. And then here's the red line where this one triggered. So this is it. I think this is a huge help when going through and trying to diagnose and figure out what happened and when. You can see this, and it'll, like I said, you click on it, it opens the pertaining PIDs that you want as well. I think that's a pretty huge improvement. I really give kudos to the team that developed this. It seems like it's such a simple, small thing, but it's big because going with data and going on a road test and trying to figure out where the problem was. Well, if I can drill down to whatever PID set that easier, faster, that's going to save me a lot of time. And like I said, it doesn't just work in Fast Track Intelligent Diagnostics. It works on any data stream, anywhere on the Zeus. So it's only on the Zeus, but it is anywhere on any data stream, anywhere in the tool. So I think that's kind of cool. So even on functional tests where it has data stream, it'll still do it this way as well. So that is pretty cool. I do love that function. And I think that's one of the bigger things to talk about. Now, lastly, I'm going to go to this one. So this will be a big difference. Last one we're going to talk about is the Ford PMI. So I got a 2021 Ford F-250 on my tool with older software. I activate that, and I go into my scanner. And I got to pick an F-Series because it doesn't know that from the VIN. And that's all I would have for a 2021 Ford F-250 in the fall software release, just because it was code scan and clear, and that's what you got. Now, if I go to the latest release, the spring release, go to a 2021 Ford F-250 with the same VIN. Pull up my F-Series. Go. Now we see we have the full gamut of everything. So I have all my different selections. I have all my different modules. Sometimes on my tool, for some reason, the quick resets don't go in, but you see it's a full complement of modules on this vehicle. So if I wanted to do PMI, like I said, it covers 30 different modules. The easiest one is just the engine because it's right there. So it's just going to go through my regular dialogue to go through and talk to the vehicle. And then if I go into functional tests, it is under special function. And you'll see I have programmable module installation. Now, I think this might be where the security link screen comes up. So if you watch really quick, you might be able to catch this. Let me see. I think I gotta hit continue. Engine, make sure the ignition is switched on. Engine's not running. And it may do it right here. There we go. Right after this screen, it should be. During module programming, the module goes through a VIN verification process. This process compares the VIN in the module with the VIN and other modules on the vehicle. You may see the VIN verification screen more than once, depending on your response. So I hit continue. I'm in demo mode, so it's going to say, is this the VIN? I'll say yes. And then it's going to come in here. Maybe it's after this. Turn the ignition off. There we go. So what PMI does for us is before I replace a module, I can copy all the parameters out of it to the tool, and then I can write that back into the new module. So it's just like a copy and paste. So I don't have to worry about flashing or any of that. It's just kind of a copying parameters and pasting parameters. All right. So first I need to do is before I make the repair, before I disconnect the old module, I need to read the data. I think this is where it does it. Is the original module installed? Yes. And switch ignition on. That is a secure function. So that's going to give me the thing, right? Reading configuration data. Maybe we missed it. Okay, so it saved it. All right, so you're not going to see the security link screen. It flashed by too fast. Turn the ignition switch off. Okay, so now I do my work. I do whatever I need to do. I replace the module, and then I need to write that data into a new module. I'm going to go in here, install the new module first. Turn the ignition on. There it is. There's my security link right there. Starting a security link session. So that does all that in the background. Writes the module configuration. And once it's done, it's going to take a second. Ignition off. Ignition on. And module configuration is complete. Complete it. We're done. So like I said, it's like a copy and paste. So it copies it out of the old module, pastes it into the new module, and that is required for a lot of new module setups on Fords nowadays. So as I said, it's 2021 F Series for now. And then as we go forward, we'll be filling in back and around it. So whatever vehicles that it covers, it will be in there at some point. So I think that's pretty cool and pretty promising for the future as well. I just wanted to show you that. So that is all my live stuff. And that is about it for the software overview. We got a couple more things we want to talk about, though, before I let you go. I also want to make mention. I know I've probably got some regulars on here right now, but I'm sure there's some of you that are seeing this for the first time. So if you want additional training on diagnostics related stuff, we do offer free training every Tuesday. I do two training classes every Tuesday at 6 and 9 Eastern. If you want to register and join on Zoom, you can at snapon.com/OT. Click to register. Session 1 streams on YouTube at youtube.com/SnapOnDiagnostics. Session 2 streams live to my Facebook page. So it's facebook.com/SnapOnJason. All one word, no dash in the Snap-on. So 6 p.m. Eastern goes to YouTube, 9 p.m. Eastern goes to Facebook. And we've covered topics such as, we got 42 different topics now. Topics such as ADAS, data bus testing, component testing. We did a whole series over the summer with that. VVT, hybrids. We just did basic electronics again. So all of these topics are the things that we talk about. And these are the past topics that we already have recorded on our YouTube channel as well. So if you want to catch up or see any of these other trainings, you can go to youtube.com/SnapOnDiagnostics and check those out. All right, so now let's get to some Q&A. I got a couple on Zoom, so we'll go there first. Kenny, thank you for checking in from Alberta. Hope the drumming is going well, Mr. Harvey. I always enjoy talking to you and having you check in. Let's see. Leo, are you aware of any issues with any of the updates? No, I am not aware of any issues. Every time we do any sort of software update anywhere, there's always going to be a couple tools here and there that it just has a little hiccup and then it gets stuck. So, I mean, I've seen a couple people not in a specific tool, but it's just standard stuff. And if you call tech support, you can usually get you taken care of over the phone. So, good question, Leo. Let's go over here. Let's see. Yeah, David Lemke. Yeah, no, haven't been here before. Yeah, that's for sure. You're one of the regulars. I definitely appreciate that. All right, let's see. Justin asks, is there a special TPMS reading tool for the Triton D10? So, not specifically for it, but if you had say a TPMS 4 or a TPMS 5, those work very well in conjunction with a Triton D10 or any of our scan tools. The nice thing about how we do it is it's not really tied to the tool. It's a separate tool. So you can use any TPMS tool on the market. There's nothing really specific, but yeah, of course we would, we have some available at TPMS 4, TPMS 5. Aficionado, thanks for checking in. I saw you on Tuesday. Thanks for joining for this one as well. Hussein, say hi. Hello. Let's see. Barry says, get ready for a price increase. Actually, no. You know, it's funny, Barry, because software subscription, the price on a software subscription actually went down a couple updates ago. So not everything goes. Not everything goes. Let's see. Herbierto asks, so if we get the monthly subscription, do we get full access to ShopKey? Do I have to pay extra to get full access to more stuff like diagrams? So the monthly subscription for the tool covers the diagnostics software, the vehicle communication software on the tool. ShopKey is a separate subscription. It's a separate subsidiary. It's a separate company, so to say, even though it's under Snap-on, but technically it's a separate company. So it is a separate subscription if you want the repair information on the tool, the wiring diagrams on the tool. Plus you get access to it on the web as well. Let's see. Scott said that would help with TPS dropout and ABS dropout as well. So I'm guessing you're talking about on the flags. So yeah, that would definitely help out well with that. I don't even have to look at it. Just set my parameters and say, okay, I don't want it to go outside of this. If it flags, it's there. Good to go. Let's see. Bob Newman, when does Snap-on plan on incorporating topology mapping in their tool? I'm not sure. I'm not one of the engineers, but I'll definitely pass it on that people have been talking about it. I know a lot of people have been asking, and I honestly don't know when or if they will implement it. There's some pros and cons to it. You got to implement it the right way, because otherwise sometimes you might get confused and think, oh, well, this module's not online. Well, no, the module's not in the car, sort of thing. So you got to make sure you go about it the right way too. So there are some pitfalls when it comes to that. Gene says, thank you, Gene, for watching. Let's see, Barry, I'm guessing that's your subscription cost went from 68 to 129. You must have changed tools. I'm guessing you must have changed tools, because each tool is different, but it is less than what you'd pay for 2 updates a year for sure. Pardon me. Got a couple more coming in on Zoom. Brody, how far back does the European coverage go? That is a very good question, Brody. Let's see. I bet you I can find out. Let's find this out. That's why I like doing this live. We can do these things. Let's see. So I'm guessing you're thinking like European. Oh, that's the wrong tool. Let's just turn that one off. We're not going to look at that one. So let's go to Volkswagen. European vehicles goes back to 92 on Volkswagen. Might not only go back on this. Oh, at BMW. 92 on BMW. And let's see, Audi. Audi was in there, right? Yeah. 92 on Audi. And I would imagine Mini goes back to when they started making Minis, right? I don't know if you'll be able to do a European Mini like the little guy, right? Well, let's find out. Oh, no, that one just says 2001. So everybody but Mini back to 292, and then Mini goes back to 2001. Good question. Good question. I know that's near and dear to you guys up there. So let's see. Kenny asks, can the software assistant injector coding on Ford pickups? Absolutely. We've been doing it for years. I think I did a video on that back in 2015. It was on a diesel. So yeah, definitely injector coatings on Ford. Definitely got you covered there. Let's see. So do I get a rebate since the fee has gone down? So do you get a rebate? Do I get a rebate? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about there, David. I think it's just, if it's a subscription, it just kind of rolls, right? So you get to pay the new lower price the next time it renews. Right. So I don't know if it's really a rebate, but it's whatever the lower price is prevails. So see if we got any more going on up there. All right. Barry Hall said, yeah, Zeus. So a subscription on a Zeus, 68 to 129. It's never been $68. So I don't know. Maybe you were paying for a soft. Maybe you're. I think you're probably. I bet you I know what it was. You're probably paying weekly on a data plan or monthly on a data. And then if you rolled it over a subscription, it's $129 a month on that. So I don't really like talking pricing either. I don't really talk pricing. I say talk to your franchisee on that one. Let's see. Yeah. So Felix says he's been pretty steady for 2 years as well. And that's about average. It varies by market too. So it's hard for me to talk pricing because I got US on here. I got Canada on here. It's a different price. Puerto Rico's a different price. Australia's a different price. UK is a different price. So it's hard for me to keep up with pricing. So I would say talk to your dealer in that particular case. With that, I'm guessing you switch between different types of plans would be my guess on that. All right. Looks like we are clear on the big boards. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day, take a little time to spend with me, learn a little bit more about the new functions of the spring software update. Hopefully you got a few nuggets you can take away. Maybe you can put it to use tomorrow. Maybe you already have the software and you just wanted to know, hey, what are the big things I need to talk about? All right. So with that, appreciate your time. Thank you very much. If you want to watch the replay of this, it's being recorded to YouTube. If you want to catch it live again, we're doing it again next Wednesday. And then the following Tuesday. So we're doing Wednesday, Monday. Next Wednesday, and then Monday, the 2nd of May. So those are the next 2 times. If you want to catch it live, ask questions that way as well. Leo, thank you very much. Thank everyone else very much. Appreciate your time. And we'll talk to you again soon. Have a good night.